There is a massive, multi-billion-dollar problem currently paralyzing the most advanced quantum computing laboratories on the planet, and it has absolutely nothing to do with building faster microchips or writing better software. Elite engineers at tech giants and defense agencies are hitting a literal wall in their research, struggling against a fundamental glitch in the very fabric of physical reality. When they build these hyper-advanced machines, they rely on subatomic particles existing in multiple states at once. But the moment a scientist, a camera, or a sensor actually tries to look at these particles to measure them, the entire system instantly crashes. The quantum state collapses. The universe actively refuses to function if it is being watched. When I first started researching the engineering bottlenecks of quantum decoherence, I thought I was just looking at a complex hardware issue. But as I dug deeper into the theoretical physics behind this phenomenon, cross-referencing modern declassified research with ancient original translations of Vedic texts, I experienced a complete ontological shock. I realized that the absolute brightest minds in modern quantum mechanics are not discovering anything new. They are simply building multi-billion-dollar machines to mathematically prove a framework of reality that was explicitly detailed, codified, and perfected by the ancient sages of India thousands of years ago. Today, we are going to strip away the cultural myths and look strictly at the hard, uncompromising physics of the observer effect, and how the ancient science of Advaita Vedanta holds the exact blueprint to the greatest mystery in modern technology. To truly understand the magnitude of this reality-altering concept, we have to look directly at the most famous and baffling experiment in the history of modern science, the double-slit experiment. If you fire solid particles like tiny marbles through two slits on a barrier, they hit the back wall in two distinct bands. Simple, logical, physical mechanics. But when physicists fired electrons, the fundamental building blocks of matter, through those same two slits, something impossible happened. The electrons hit the back wall in an interference pattern, meaning they were acting like waves of energy, not solid matter. They were existing as a wave of probability, passing through both slits simultaneously. Baffled by this, scientists set up a highly advanced measuring device right next to the slits to see exactly how a single electron could split in half. But the very moment they turned the camera on to observe the electron, the interference pattern vanished. The electron instantly stopped acting like a wave of probability and behaved exactly like a solid particle, forming two simple bands on the back wall. The absolute, undeniable conclusion of this experiment is that subatomic matter does not exist in a solid physical state until it is consciously observed. The act of measurement, the pure act of looking, is what forces the universe to render physical matter into existence. This is not philosophical speculation. This is the Copenhagen interpretation, the foundational bedrock of modern quantum mechanics. The brilliant physicist John von Neumann, the father of modern computing, analyzed this phenomenon and created what is known as the von Neumann chain. He tried to mathematically locate exactly where the wave of probability collapses into solid matter. Does it collapse at the camera lens? Does it collapse in the computer processor recording the data? Does it collapse in the human optic nerve? Von Neumann mathematically proved that the collapse cannot happen within any physical system, because the camera, the computer, and your brain are all made of atoms. They are all part of the quantum system themselves. The chain of physical measurement is infinite. The only thing that can collapse a wave function and force the universe to become solid is something that exists entirely outside of the physical system. Nobel laureate Eugene Wigner took von Neumann's mathematics to its ultimate, undeniable conclusion. He explicitly stated that human consciousness is the required fundamental component of physical reality. Wigner proved that without a conscious observer, the physical universe does not exist. It remains a dark, unrendered void of infinite mathematical probabilities. Now, I want to take you far away from the sterile laboratories of the 20th century and transport you back to the pristine, highly focused ashrams of ancient India. Modern academic history tries to paint the ancient rishis as primitive mystics reciting religious poetry. But when you bypass the colonial translations and read the original Upanishads through the lens of theoretical physics, you realize these men were elite cognitive scientists and astrophysicists. They possessed an epistemological framework so mathematically precise that it completely eclipses modern scientific models. They formulated a system of absolute reality known as Advaita Vedanta, which translates to non-duality. Advaita posits that the entire concept of physical separation, the idea that you are a separate observer looking at a separate physical universe, is a profound biological illusion. Thousands of years before Wigner and von Neumann were born, the ancient Indian sages had already solved the exact measurement problem that is currently freezing modern quantum computers. In Advaita Vedanta, the rishis meticulously divided reality into two distinct categories: the drig, which is the ultimate seer, and the drishya, which is the seen. The physical universe, including your biological body, your brain, and every atom in the cosmos, is categorized as jagat, the ever-changing, impermanent world of the seen. But if the entire physical universe is just an object being watched, what is the ultimate entity doing the watching? The Vedas define this ultimate observer as Sakshi, the witnessing consciousness. Sakshi is not your ego, it is not your personality, and it is not your biological brain. It is the pure, localized manifestation of Brahman, the infinite underlying field of absolute consciousness that permeates all of existence. The ancient texts explicitly state that Jagat, the physical universe, has no independent reality of its own. It only exists because it is being continuously illuminated and witnessed by Sakshi. This is not a religious metaphor. The rishis were defining the exact mathematical requirement for the collapse of the quantum wave function. They understood that matter is merely a probability, an unrendered potential, until the light of pure consciousness interacts with it. To explain exactly how this unrendered potential becomes solid reality, the ancient sages codified the concept of Maya. In the modern West, the term Maya has been severely mistranslated and cheapened to just mean illusion, like a magician's trick. But in the highly technical Sanskrit of Vedanta, Maya is an active, hyper-complex cosmic technology. It is described as having two distinct powers: Avarana Shakti, the power to conceal the underlying unity of consciousness, and Vikshepa Shakti, the power to project the illusion of a solid, 3D, dualistic universe. Think of Maya as the ultimate quantum rendering engine. Just like a modern video game only renders the high-resolution graphics of a digital world exactly where the player's camera is pointing, Maya only renders the physical universe into solid matter precisely where the Sakshi, the conscious observer, is looking. The ancient Indians understood that the universe is highly efficient. It does not waste energy rendering a solid reality behind your back. It exists as an infinite wave of probability until your consciousness interfaces with it. This profound realization completely shatters the current trajectory of the global artificial intelligence arms race. Right now, Silicon Valley tech giants are pouring trillions of dollars into developing artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Their ultimate goal is to create a digital entity that is fully conscious and self-aware. They believe that if they just stack enough neural networks, process enough data, and build complex enough silicon microchips, consciousness will eventually magically spark into existence inside a server rack. But the uncompromising science of Advaita Vedanta and the hard mathematics of Eugene Wigner prove that this is a biological and physical impossibility. An artificial intelligence is constructed entirely out of silicon, electricity, and physical matter. It is a product of the physical universe. In the Vedic framework, AI is purely drishya. It is the seen. It is an object. Because it is made of matter, it is subject to the rules of quantum mechanics. It exists as a wave of probability. Therefore, an AI can never be Sakshi. It can never be the ultimate observer because it does not possess the non-physical fundamental property of pure consciousness. This leads us to the most staggering, mind-bending fact of our existence, a reality that completely redefines the value of human life. Because an artificial intelligence lacks true witness consciousness, it cannot collapse a quantum wave function. A robot or an algorithm cannot force the universe to render physical matter. If you were to remove all biological conscious life from the cosmos, leaving only highly advanced AI and cameras running on a barren planet, the physical universe would cease to exist. Without a true observer, without the Sakshi, the entire cosmos instantly reverts back into a dark, unrendered state of infinite quantum superposition. We are heavily conditioned by modern materialist science to believe that human beings are just an accidental, meaningless byproduct of blind chemical evolution on a random rock floating in a dead universe. But the absolute bleeding edge of quantum mechanics and the flawless architecture of ancient Vedic science prove the exact opposite. The legendary theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a colleague of Albert Einstein, eventually arrived at this exact conclusion, formulating what he called the participatory anthropic principle. He realized that the universe is not a dead machine. It is a participatory, self-actualizing system. The universe literally required the evolution of conscious biological life so that it could have a mechanism to look back at itself and force its own physical existence into reality. This is flawlessly, perfectly identical to the supreme Vedic concept of the jiva, the individual localized soul, acting as the focal point for Brahman to experience its own cosmic creation. You are not a tiny, insignificant cog in a massive physical machine. You, your consciousness, your exact capacity to observe and witness reality, is the fundamental mathematical requirement for the cosmos to exist. You are the lens through which the universe renders itself solid. When you strip away the dogma and look at the brutal, unyielding science, you realize that the founders of quantum mechanics were heavily influenced by these ancient texts because they provided the only logical framework that survived the collapse of classical physics. Erwin Schrödinger, the man who created the fundamental wave equation of quantum mechanics, famously kept a copy of the Upanishads on his desk. He openly admitted that the core concepts of his physics were heavily derived from the ancient Indian teachings of non-duality. He realized that the ancient rishis had successfully hacked the source code of reality millennia before the invention of the electron microscope. They achieved this not by building machines to look outward, but by aggressively optimizing their own nervous systems to turn the power of observation inward. Through the intense, rigorous technologies of deep meditation and absolute cognitive focus, they bypass the rendering engine of Maya and directly experience the unified field of pure consciousness. If this deep, uncompromising integration of advanced quantum mechanics, the collapse of the wave function, and the absolute brilliance of ancient Advaita Vedanta has fundamentally fractured your perception of reality, I need you to step up and take action right now. The algorithms governing this platform are explicitly designed to promote shallow, low-frequency entertainment and actively suppress this exact kind of dense, history-altering scientific synthesis. We have a shared responsibility to force this undeniable truth into the mainstream digital ecosystem. I need you to smash the like button immediately. That one deliberate action tells the system that this elite level of scientific and historical truth demands global visibility. I also strongly encourage you to drop into the comment section right now and make your voice heard. Does understanding the physics of the observer effect change how you view your own existence? Does the fact that the universe requires your consciousness to exist shift your perspective on ancient Indian science? Tell me your exact thoughts down below. I genuinely read every single comment because I want to connect with the exact minds that are truly processing this high-level information. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell fully activated so you never miss our next uncompromising deep dive into the true architecture of human reality. Keep your mind razor sharp, question everything you have been taught about the physical world, honor the profound mathematical legacy of our ancestors, and I will see you in the next one.